when UDA was still a new party, and the by-elections in Kiambaa meant a lot for them because that's where they got their first member of the National Assembly. It's more or less what's playing out here, that DCP now has its first member of the National Assembly a year into the next election. Do you feel that something has changed? Fine, maybe William Ruto has not lost, but do you feel something has changed for DCP?
The comparison is not similar, because if you look at the voting patterns of Kiambaa or voting patterns of other parts of Mount Kenya, or Mount Kenya West in particular, are very different from Nyandarua or Ol Kalou in particular. Remember that in 2022, most of Mount Kenya region was voting for UDA or Kenya Kwanza. But out of the blues, these people voted for Jubilee, which was Uhuru Kenyatta's party, and Azimio. That was an outlier. And I suspect that even the election as carried out in the recent by-election is along the same lines, that the voting patterns of Ol Kalou are not necessarily reflective of the entire Mount Kenya. The only experiment that can make sense is when we get to the real election and see how the voting patterns happen. And the factors that decide the voting method or the voting pattern are very different when you compare Nyandarua side and other parts of Mount Kenya.
DCP by Tuesday will be having a member of parliament. You still insist that nothing has changed?
You know, we are in a democracy.
It is now a parliamentary party.
We are in a democracy, and we expect that at some point, at least one of the members of parliament, one person will win. That's what we expected. It's not surprising. And it happened that it's the DCP guy that won. So it's not something new. We expect that after by-election, we'll be having a member of parliament, and it landed on the side of the DCP candidate. However, one thing I want to caution some people is that they should not be so much absorbed in the revenge mission of one individual who is so misguided. And referring back to Oscar Sudi's statement yesterday, he said so many things that cannot be pronounced here, but they are so accurate as reflected in the utterances by Rigathi Gachagua. You saw yesterday he was even making very unpatriotic statements akin to economic sabotage. Like when you are in a position of influence and then you tell people that you do not want tourists to come. What is your mission? That the country sits and waits for you
We've had
to
similar
become the president, and you know very well you can never even become president. And you say that you wait for next year before we have the tourists. So this guy, because of his selfishness, wants to destroy the economy of the country, wants the economy of the country to crash just because of his personal and selfish interests. And that's why Kenyans who are intelligent enough should not pay attention to such persons.
Would you have said the same for Raila Odinga when he called upon Kenyans to boycott some brands,
you see,
a few years back because they were owned or controlled by his rival?
The difference between, and this is what really annoys me, any comparison between Gachagua and Raila Odinga is an insult to the Kenyan people. Because